dynamic with mother-son relationship, in terms of it thriving most. So 60% went up in terms of boosting. And so our question is, why did it boost, or why was it so positively affecting the mother-daughter relationship and not the son, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean it made it worse. It doesn't mean that anything about the son. It just meant that it increased more with daughters.
Moms are more often reporting it was good for their relationship with their daughter as opposed to with their son.
Do you have any take, or any, because your daughters are older. My daughters...
Well, before we get to that, by the way, special thanks to Scranton Road Promotional Marketing, division of Scranton Road Ministries. Mike Carswell just stopped by. Got some new gear. Can't wait to show you that tomorrow. But they're going to get the swag like this for your organization, your business, your church, your family reunion, whatever it is. If you're looking for products that are branded, this is who you talk to, because it's not just a great company for promotional products, but it's ministry. And so you're going to be investing your dollars into something that invests in the city of Cleveland for the kingdom of God. So, ScrantonRoadMinistries.org or ScrantonRoadPromo.org for more information. ScrantonRoadMinistries.org or ScrantonRoadPromo.org. Part of it, girls are just weird. I mean, I don't know. Isn't that part of the problem? You girls are all weird. I don't know what you're doing with your crying and your...
Crying?
It's a difficult one to describe. I have seen as my daughters get older, they get closer to their mother.
Yeah, because Ron said the opposite, though. He was like,
I think there's tension. Because trust me, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or girl. When you're a teenager, your parents are idiots in some way. Whether you tell them or not, you think they are. I think there's something about moms and daughters that are
close. They get closer.
I think.
Carmela, what's up? She's on YouTube. Mike has a theory. He says the logic in my mind to make a guess would be, number one, since boys bond more with their moms from birth to up to about 18 months, and then they begin bonding with the father, it would make sense that more time around mom during COVID would improve the relationship. On the other hand, too, the Bible says once in the Old Testament, in Micah, and twice in the Gospels, that divisions will occur between a mother and a daughter, and a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, and man with his father. So I could see the relationship improving with the daughter also.
Good thinking, Mike. Appreciate your thoughts on that.
Rachel says, marvelous Monday. Man, sounds like you had a good weekend. Well, that is cool. So... somebody said this, and I think this makes sense. Somebody texted, my young men were struggling to be independent still during the lockdown. Daughters wanted companionship. I think...
Is that a male-female thing?
Independence?
No, the companionship bit. Are you girls all about that?
In general, yes. I have 4 boys, and there are some that the lockdown and quarantine and the social part affected them similar to how it would affect a girl. Like, you don't think there's personality?
Maybe.
There's men.
You're the
there
girl.
Are men, there are men that want companionship. So I could see how that boy would go to his mom for companionship. So I don't know. I just don't like the whole. It's not like such a solid line.
Yes, however, there is. I mean, you go back to the first book of the Bible. You go back to Genesis, and a man shall leave his father and mother, and become one with his wife. And so there's almost this phenomena I observe, and my mom has talked about this because she had 2 boys, no daughters, 2 boys. That as boys get older, they separate from their mother, and as girls get older, they get closer to their mother.
Yeah.
She sees that. Usually in marriage relationships, it's just the woman and her mom are real tight, and the woman and her mother-in-law talk, and the guy's just there. There's something about the way God designed us that guys kind of leave their mom as they get older. No? Yeah. Look at you. You're about to cry or something, right?
No, I'm not going to cry.
Not my boys.
I'm not going to cry.
My boy's going to get close to their mother.
I'm not going to cry. I'm married to a mama's boy, so I don't know. I don't know if that's real. Personality. Kim says good morning. Theola says good
Hey,
morning.
Theola, good to see you. Good to
Anita
see you,
says,
Kim.
thanks for a fun show today. Great way to start the week.
First Lady Morrison?
First Lady, I am so sorry.
First, what you calling her Anita for? What?
I'm so sorry.
Wow, so disrespectful.
That's a hard one because my oldest is 9.
Oldest daughter.
Oldest daughter is 9, so it's hard for me, you know. And then pandemic. What is it that was going under? Okay, so there's quarantine. Yeah, I think that text is the closest. Daughters want companionship. And I could see, but I mean, the internet was working. Why weren't they still on talking with their friends? The article says just that, like they opened up to their moms and to their lives in terms of what was going on. Especially college age, I could see that.
I got to ask you this though. When someone's a mama's boy, does it mean that he's best friends with his mom?
He looks out for his mom, takes care of his mom, is
Right.
all about his mom.
But I don't think it means friendship. Does it?
It doesn't have to mean.
And I'm not saying they're not friendly and they're not friends, but generally speaking, when you call someone a mama's boy as an adult man, he often is just doing things to help his mother. But it's not like he's calling up and, Mom, I miss you. How you doing? I need some advice. But when women are with their mother, is it a, I'm here to help you, or I'm here to have a relationship with you?
Yeah, relationship.
I can tell you're processing my theory here as I'm developing it.
Because I'm trying to think of examples. So, like, my dad was super close to my mother-in-law, to my mom, my grandma. Very close. And he would do that. Call, and it was about conversation and about relationship. Even more than my own mom. But his mom was tripping. Like, it was, like, strictly tripping. And so he would call his mom before he would, his mother-in-law before he would call. So that's what I'm saying is that personality. My dad was a converser. That was his thing. Len isn't even like that with me. So he's not going to call his mom to talk. Now, there are times he's told me, sometimes I got to tell him, like, yo, call your mom. He doesn't like phones. But he'll call because he knows she wants to talk. But that's what I'm trying to figure out, what's personality and what's a male thing. I want to use...
There's obviously exceptions, but...
Yeah, what do you think? You're a man. Do you call your mom to talk and connect? And how is it about companionship with you and your mom?
I don't think mothers and sons are about companionship.
My sons are. That's what I didn't want to bring.
But they're boys. They're not
They're
men.
boys. Well, we're talking about boys. We're talking about mothers and sons.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think long term here, generally speaking. I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, the phrase mama's boy does not imply that you're a really great friend with your mom.
Yeah.
It implies oftentimes that your mom, like, still kind of influences you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Kelly says, my son and I were close and really had good discussions as he was growing up. Now that he's married, I'm thrilled to see that he has transferred that to his wife. But I do miss that time. My daughter and I have become better friends. So she's agreeing with what you're saying.
How do you, I'm curious at your point in life how you respond to that. Because, I mean, your oldest are boys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hope that you'll be the exception to that? Or is there some part of you that says, that's in my future?
There is a part of me that says that's in my future. What I have seen modeled is transferring my friendship with my sons to their wives as well. You know, and being all about, and I've had, not only have I seen it modeled, but my friend who I bring up often, she's 80-something, she has 6 kids, obviously lots of in-laws, and she affirmed that. If I transfer my friendship, and not about I'm losing my son, but now I have an additional friend and his wife, that will continue in a different way. And making sure he never feels like he's picking between friendship with me or becoming one with his wife.
No, I think that makes sense, but isn't it...
It will change, but I think
It's different for daughters, though, isn't it? Like, are you going to work really hard to be great friends with her husband? I don't think that that's an equal thing.
Yeah,
Like
it may be.
I'm only
Yeah,
trying to
you're
say
right.
that I think you're describing it well, but I think that there is a clear distinction in how mothers interact with their
Yes.
adult sons and their
I agree.
young adult sons even and young adult daughters.
I agree. I agree. Sarah says, I feel like quarantine has brought me closer to both my son and my daughter who are at home with us. And even between boys, there are huge personality differences. Yeah, I agree. My oldest has always been very independent and we have a good relationship, but he isn't overly expressive with his love. My second son is soft spoken, gentle, and is probably a mama's boy. He's always checking in on me to see if I'm okay. Eva says, my husband is a mama's boy and he does call his mom all the time to talk about everything. Yeah, Eva, there are definitely, I've seen that. There are men that are
No,
like
it's
that.
a thing. No, I know.
For example, my son, I don't see Isaiah. If I don't bring in negative dynamic with his wife, if I do it the way that God would want me to do it, to just suddenly not talk to me. Like, we're friends and he's a talker. That's his thing. He talks. For him to go from like we're friends and we talk and we laugh to now he's married and he never calls to just talk to me. You don't think that's personality?
No, I trust me. When you make generalizations, there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
So here's the question: which is the exception? Eva's husband,
Could it be
or is
because
that really the common one, and maybe I'm the weird one?
could it be because also men aren't really, I mean, they don't even do it with themselves. We talk about the thing with men where they struggle making friendships. You've brought it up.
Sure.
So that could be a man thing, period, whether or
Maybe.
not it's about his mom.
Maybe.
I don't know. Miss Anita says to Kelly,
First Lady Morrison.
you taught him to be a communicative husband. What a blessing to pass on to your daughter-in-law. Oh, that's sweet. And then Kelly says, don't wait for your son to reach out to you as he becomes an adult. I try to get him for a quick breakfast once in a while just to catch up apart from the rest of the family. That's a deal. Not waiting for him to reach out to me.
A lot of moms do that though, don't they?
What? Wait?
And then complain their son doesn't call enough.
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm
something.
saying.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you
good
can
advice
call.
from Kelly.
Or even keep in mind, there'll be seasons where Isaiah will be, like, because we're going through it. When you're, like, consumed with the kids and the grind and work or whatever, and for me to be at home, like, dude, you don't even think about me? You don't call me? You know, I could be the
he doesn't. He's thinking about his wife and kids.
Right. And so I could say, hey,
Yeah.
and even not just call, like, what can you do for me? But call, like, yo, can I pick up a couple of the kids? Or do you guys need a babysitter this weekend? Like, because we're in that, I'm kind of sympathizing and saying, what if as a parent I call to help? Not like, what can you do for me? Because you already got people in your life. Like, when you got kids and you're raising kids, I don't want to be another person on that list that he's like, oh, I got to make sure I call mom. You know? But I think it presents itself depending on personality and circumstances. Eva says she's definitely wise counsel. Yes.
I believe it.
That
Totally
older
believe it.
woman, she's amazing. She's given me specific advice about
But I really
that.
do think that's the exception.
That a man calls
A
his...
man is super connected to his mom and calls her a lot for advice.
Do you agree that it may start before you even get married?
Maybe.
Or do you think you could have that and it could be thriving and now you're married and it just stops?
I don't know. I'm not an expert at that. I don't know.
Kelly says, exactly, Brian. We have to remember where our heads were when we were newly married. It certainly wasn't thinking of our parents. I was thinking about my parents. I was crying because I wanted to go home. I miss my parents, yes. Not because I was married.
Poor Len.
But it was, yeah. Like, I wasn't crying every day. I remember one time they came to visit, and when they left, I started crying. But you got to think, they're in Rhode Island, and I'm here. I miss my parents. Like, we were close. So I wasn't sitting there in the bed thinking about my parents, but I thought about my parents. I'm sorry, I did. Kim says, my youngest son and I can talk on the phone 4 to 5 hours at a time. We bounce things off each other and share like interests. We probably talk once a month. Aw, he's 25 now. As a teen, he pulled away some to establish independence, but we always had times of long talks. My other son has to be reminded he has a mother. He's 28. Yeah, kids are different.
And so perhaps we're learning it's more personality based, although the data indicates, again, Mothers and daughters got strong during lockdown. By 60% of mothers said that their bond with their daughter got stronger.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Where only 18% of moms said that about them and their sons.
Yeah. Michael's asking a question, just checking in. So what do you think about a prodigal son who doesn't reach out to you or doesn't respond to your attempts at reaching out? Sorry if I'm not on the right subject. Please don't be sorry. Thank you for asking that question.
I say love him and pray for him and be ready to welcome him with open arms, like the Bible, when he comes home.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. You don't want to smother him, or you're gonna annoy him.
That's hard. Like when you're in that season, because you don't know. It's easy for like this. Like instead of saying take time to come hang with me or visit me or take me out on a date. Oh, are you guys going? Oh, you guys are going to the zoo. Cool. Can I join? You know, because we've been there, not forgetting. Like, go walk along with them, I think would solve some of the issue. And then also maybe, as sons, since we've, that's what I was going to say about the wives. Not making, let's say Isaiah, because he's my oldest, not making him feel like in order to spend time with me, it has to be you and me. For many years, it could be him, his wife, and me. And that's okay. You know, not making him have to, like, pick. Like, oh, I got to leave you here on Saturday because mommy wants, I got to go spend time with my mom.
So let's spice this up. How much of this could be cultural?
Yeah. And explain that. Why do you ask?
Or
not why, but I'm saying, what would make you even think it could be cultural and not just relationship and moms and dads?
Okay, so I'm just throwing this out there, but I mean, I think colorblindness is inappropriate for Christians because God created diversity, and there's going to be diversity in heaven. All tribes, tongues, and nations come together. And so I believe the reason not to be colorblind is because there's value in looking at cultural differences and celebrating them, right?
Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You can help me with Latino culture. Or Latinx, I should say, culture, right? Is how I would say it now?
Yeah, Latinx.
African American culture, from my experience, is much more matriarchal.
Yeah, it is.
Than, for example, white culture. Is there such thing as white culture? I don't know. White American culture.
Yeah.
I think is much more patriarchal. But African American culture is distinctly matriarchal. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So if that's the case, wouldn't it make sense for sons and moms to be close?
It would, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about mom.
What about Dominican culture?
Not all, but
is it a woman who's central to the family?
Central in terms of the soul of the family.
It's women.
Now there's a lot of dads, they stay home and all that, but yeah.
So Dominican culture is matriarchal.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it make sense then for sons to be close to their mothers? And be an exception to this rule. I wonder what the sample group looks like.
Yeah.
Like if this is women reporting it about their daughters being stronger, I wonder if the sample group is largely white, and would that influence the outcome?
I will say, just to be accurate, in Dominican, well, at least Dominican, but I think I can speak for most. Sara, you can correct me. Most of Latin America, in my culture, it can be very male chauvinist. And so as the boys get older, if you're hanging around the women and in the kitchen, even if it's helping, like my boys would look crazy in my culture. Because the dads and the uncles would encourage him, like, no, you get around the men.
Isn't
and you come
machismo?
With the men. Yeah, it's like machismo. And if they see you, I actually had an uncle who was very influential on my mom's side of the family. And if he saw a man, one of the young men, opening the fridge, he would check and be like, get out. And you ask. If you want something, you ask the women for it. So there's that thing. So I don't know if it transfers to the boys were closer to the moms in that sense. Sada is agreeing.
She's saying what? That it's matriarchal?
Well, Sada, do you agree about the male chauvinists and how the young men are actually taught not to really hang with the women? Now you're taught you take care of mama. It's about mama and you know all of that. You do all that. But it's not like It's a different, yeah. Michael says, in the Spanish culture, women cook better Spanish dishes. Sarah says, my mother-in-law believes men do not belong in the kitchen at all. Yeah, you don't. And if you change a diaper, it's like, what are
I
you
need to move to
doing?
Latin America.
God. But where were you going with the whole?
Well, I'm just trying to, let's just say we could control the sample group and separate it by culture. What do you think the answer would be for Dominicans during the lockdown? Would it be that mothers and sons got stronger or mothers and daughters? What do you think it would be? Or do you not know?
Off the top of my head, I would think the mothers and daughters. Because the men would be in another room doing their own thing. Like, we do that. We'll hang as a family. I'm just saying, there are clear lines. You know, not all families follow that. My family clearly doesn't follow that. You know, and so...
That's too bad.
Yeah, no, we don't follow
For your
that.
boys.
We don't follow that. And, yeah. Melly says, interesting topic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing to look at.
Sarah says, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Just in my experience, as my mom used to teach to MOPS groups this concept,
Yeah.
predominantly white, because that's the context of where we grew up, about this idea that particularly when you get married, men leave their moms and connect to their wives. And then the opposite happens for women. And so mothers of sons, it's a rough road because your sons essentially kind of ditch you.
And I don't think it has to be like that. Because even some people are bringing up Bible about a man supposed to leave his wife. Or his family. It doesn't have to be physical. I think it's priority. So it is clear to me that I am not going to be a priority for Isaiah in the stricter sense. Right? So if he has to move, whatever decisions they have to make, like it is him and his wife. But that doesn't mean you can't go and kick it with your mom, with your wife. Like, mommy and papi would do that. They would take turns every other weekend visiting their moms. And you go to church, and then after you eat dinner, you know, it doesn't have to be this clear, like, where it's just you and me. That's cultural. That whole thing about extended family and that I've noticed here, it's cultural.
But see, cultural norms aren't have-to-be's.
Okay.
Cultural norms are cultural norms. They're not better or worse. They're just what they are. Huh.
Sarah says, my American friends and I always joke that an American man who marries a Latin woman has it made because she is taught to serve her man. Exactly. Latin men who married American women have a rude awakening. Then we all laugh because most of us are married to Latin men from different countries. Chris says, my father's cooking skills started at the phone and ordered pizza.
I know Chris from Chicago. Good to see you, Chris.
Fiola says, in our family, it was always grandma's house. Even when my husband was alive, our home was grandma's house.
Interesting.
Even though you said there's not a what if, or you said something about...
But that's one of the sociological and anthropological concepts, is that there isn't a normal or weird.
Yeah.
It's a cultural norm. Like something in Dominican culture that's very normal, if somebody else might come in and go, ugh, weird.
I agree. And I want to add to that. There are things we can learn from different cultures. So, for example, Asian culture in general, and Asia's pretty big, so I know this is very general, but they're more about group and about the group dynamic versus individualistic like we are. We could say, well, this is who we are, but there have been instances, even in the show, where we said, wow, we can learn. Like the mask situation. Like we can't, it's about me, me, me. There's some aspects where we could be like, wow, there's something we can learn about the way they do things. Right? I mean,
it's one thing to say that, it's another to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, to just say, well, it's just different the way people do things. Yeah, you could say that. Or you can also say, there are things I can glean from the way this culture does stuff.
Yeah.
I gave you Asian. It doesn't even have to be Latino. I'm just saying, there are things we can learn from different cultures. Latinos do it all the time. We live here, and we got to pick up stuff.
One thing I know for sure, Dominicans are weird.
Wait. No, Michael says some cultures don't recognize women as equals, and in American culture, I don't believe fathers get a fair amount of recognition they deserve. Chris says hello. We haven't seen Chris in a while. Kelly says, moms have to take the lead if they want to maintain a relationship with adult children, male or female. Amen. My own mother didn't do that, so I make a conscious effort to do that with my own children. I agree. I think we have to, it's on us. For example, I have a friend, I don't want to say who she is, but she's like, she literally tells me this. She has little kids. The oldest is like 10. She has 3. And she's stressed out because her mother-in-law is always complaining, you don't bring the kids around. You don't bring the kids around. You know, and she's like, yo, like, can she come over or can she call us? That's exhausting. And I haven't had, like, my youngest is 6. But when I'm not that far, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to be that. Like, it's exhausting to deal with the everyday. What? Wow. Okay.
No, you know
I don't
funny?
like when you do that because I can see you thinking.
You know
what are
what's
you
funny?
thinking? What?
Remember earlier today you were talking about how when you're a kid, you tell yourself you're going to be a really cool, hip adult, and then life happens and you realize you're not cool?
Yeah.
Isn't there some aspect of we could all end up doing that?
We could all
You could end up
doing
being the mom with one of your kids. It's like, why you never call me? You never call me.
We could. That's a little different. When you're not cool or when you get tired on Fridays, that's very physiological and very much biology.
So you don't think with one of your kids, you're going to, once in your
I'm
life,
not
say...
perfect. I'm fallen. Isn't that what you love to say? I'm fallen. I'm a sinner. What I'm saying is I have seen it modeled. My grandmother was amazing.
I'm going to follow you around the rest of your life with a microphone.
You're
I'm going
not
to catch
listening.
you with one of
You're
your
just-
kids looking at Len. You're going, Len, he never calls me.
I am.
He never calls me.
And I'll probably
He
say
doesn't love
that
me, he
a
doesn't pay
lot.
attention to me.
What I want, the models and the examples I want to follow in men and women that did do that and their in-laws love them. I saw it. Their pattern was different. You can actually do that. And it's all about doing what you say, loving sacrificially. And remembering it's not all about you. Basically, what you're telling me is, oh my gosh.
Remember
Do you
this.
realize what you're saying?
Remember
so
this.
you can do that with the Bible.
Give us 10
oh
years.
my gosh.
10 years, we're going to be doing some sort of like hologram in your house of us standing
Wow,
there.
dude.
And she's going to do a whole thing about, why, you sons, you never call your mother. You got to call your mother. You don't pay attention to your mother. My boys didn't call their mother enough. She's going to do a whole thing about that, and we're going to bring this back up again. We'll be like, see, we told you you're going to do it.
Okay, fine. Sarah says, also, my husband's youngest brother is 20 years younger than he is, and the difference in their upbringing is really obvious. My husband's cooking is limited to frying eggs. My brother-in-law is quite a good cook. My mother-in-law doesn't like seeing her son in the kitchen, but she likes the food. Chris says, my grandmothers were very good cook. Mike's, Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, she's
Have you eaten
Swedish.
those?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You never had a Swedish meatball?
No.
No wonder you got so many problems.
You got problems, dude. Hi, Damaris. Damaris says she agrees probably with me. Woo! James is saying, woo! Yeah, thank you, James, for the applause for me. Thank you.
Long story
I love
short.
getting the love from over there because over here. Woo!
Long story short, call your mother.
Yeah, hello. Call your mama.
All
And
right.
if you're a mama, call your kids.
We're going to remind her of that in 10 years. All right, we out. You ready to go?
You're